Good evening, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Nicholas County Board of Education, Monday, March 18th. And at this time, if you'll stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Please join the board with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 3, approval of the agenda. One thing I know that was left off, approved minutes of meetings held on, that should say March 4th, 2024, and that was a special meeting. We had 2 meetings that day, but the one is ready to approve, the other's not. So March 4th, 2024, special meeting.
I don't have anything else to change on the agenda.
Okay, not even what, I guess she'll strike that.
She'll do that when she
Okay.
gets to her part.
Next, we have student representatives from Nicholas County High School, Cambria Neal and Bethany Butcher.
She'll approve the minutes first.
Oh, I'm sorry. You girls go ahead.
Yeah.
I need a, go ahead.
Yeah.
I need a motion to approve the minutes held on March 4th, 2024, special meeting. I'll make that motion. Okay, Mr. Berry makes a motion, seconded by Mr. Moose. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Are you gonna mirror?
I'm gonna plug.
It's okay, we'll do it in a different way.
Oh, okay.
Chris, I didn't turn the mic on. I didn't turn the mic.
Just talk really loud.
Oh, yeah.
The battery's dead, I have to get another battery out of there.
So they say they act like they do during class and talk real loud.
All right, so good evening, everybody. I'm gonna start off by talking about student council. So student council participated in Dr. Seuss Week a few weeks ago. We went to multiple schools. We went to Summersville Elementary and Glade Creek, and we went to all grades, read the books, and then did the Dr. Seuss themed crafts with them.
Student council also participated in Women's and Girls Day at the Capitol. It's an annual event hosted by the West Virginia Women's Commission. Students took place in tours of the Capitol. They met with legislators. They listened to a keynote and guest speakers, and they took part in girl-led discussions.
So some sports, this is all for basketball. They have the all-conference awards at the end of their season. For first team for girls basketball was Alexis Odell and Adrian Truman. And then for boys basketball was Trey Stone. And then honorable mention for girls basketball was Olivia Stone. And boys basketball was Cole Brown and Ethan Collins.
The weekly winners for Luke Press boys basketball were Cole Brown and Ethan Collins. As soon as it came out, I was like,
And then the girls state wrestling tournament was held. Mackenzie Hanshaw placed third at the state wrestling tournament.
Emily Sparks participated in Poetry Out Loud. She was the representative for Nicholas County, and I think she did pretty good.
Molly Dorsey, Matilda Rodeball, and William Jarvis placed third in the state science fair.
And then lastly, the art class participated in Dr. Seuss Week. They made posters, and then at the park, they did face painting and all that good stuff with the kids.
I think they read books from like, as soon as it started all day. It was like every 10 minutes they'd read to the kids. And then something that I didn't get to add on here was, today we went to Birch River with the student council, and we did St. Patrick's Day themed books and crafts with all the grades there. And that's all we have. Any questions?
Great job as always.
Thank you.
You guys have the paper copy of that.
No, I can email it.
No, that's Kim. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, next, superintendent's information updates.
First of all, try to give you fairly regular construction updates on where we are with our new projects. Chris Campbell with CMN was here today, and he met with Sherry Mao, our school nutrition director, to work on the design of the kitchen. They are going to have another meeting a little bit later on to finalize those discussions, but he was here quite a while, and I think they got a lot of good things accomplished today. He also brought us some cardboard cutouts of our new building that they're designing. It's posted up in our hallway. We put it up there today. Thanks to the maintenance crew for doing that for us. He gave us a set also to provide to Summersville Elementary School, Summersville Middle School, and Glade Creek, so they'll be able to display those same things in their schools. And he's also going to send us new copies, the Richwood plans will be the same way. We'll have the same ones displayed here and out to our schools in Richwood. Tomorrow's an early out for math textbook review. Every 5 or 6 years we have to adopt math textbooks. Math and ELA are the two most important textbook adoptions we do. And in talking to a lot of the teachers and principals, the teachers just have not had time to go through these adoptions, which are very expensive, and make an intelligent decision on what books they want because they've not reviewed the materials. So we decided to set aside a time. We picked out tomorrow to be the date that students be released 3 hours early, and teachers will sit down as a staff and go through the math textbook adoptions. Now, questions always asked, well, what about the teachers don't teach math? Well, then they're to have other assignments for the day. They don't get the day off. They will have other staff development they can work on at that same time. We had last week, I think it was, we had 4 schools for our first T training, which was on March 15th. It was on Friday. We had 4 new schools send teachers to be trained in that. We're really excited about that. We had been pushing that pretty hard with our principals to get our teachers involved. Some of our teachers are a little bit intimidated by teaching golf, and so we've assured them that we're going to provide them some extra training. It's not just a one-day training. We'll offer some support from the other teachers who have had the training and are familiar with it and comfortable with it. We've also encouraged them to, if they have community members that are volunteers that like golf and are interested in golf, if they feel more comfortable with bringing in a parent volunteer to work with them for the First Tee program, we don't have any issue with that. Since they're already approved volunteers anyway, if it makes the program more successful, then we support that. So we always want to thank Randy Meadows and Gary Wharton for their continued support of this program as we continue to try to grow to all of our schools. As was announced at the last board meeting, we are going to be running our school levy this year. Our school levy does not expire until 25, but there was a new law passed by the legislature last year, the year before, where you could only run a school levy, an excess school levy, on regular election days, on either primary or general election days. And since there won't be any of those in 2025, Nicholas, as well as a lot of other counties, are going to have to run their school levies a year early. The reason I bring this up is because I want to offer I'm willing to go out to civic groups or school groups that want me to come and talk to them about the school levy. I'll be glad to do that. I'm not allowed to stump for the levy, so to speak. I can't say you need to do this, you need to do that, please vote for this, please vote for that. I can't do that, but I can provide the information on what the levy covers and what it pays for. So if your schools are interested, if your city groups are interested in inviting me and Kristen and maybe some of the other people from central office to come out and talk to you, we'll be more than happy to do that. And finally, the last thing on my list is something I mentioned last board meeting, but these things they kind of kick you at the curb sometime, but evaluation time is coming up. My evaluation, I would like to have it done by May if possible, and the board's self-evaluation, we don't want to put that off until too late. That's something that started just a year or so ago where boards have to evaluate themselves, which is always interesting. And then my evaluation needs to be done before the 1st of June, but I prefer to get it done as early as possible. And that's all I have.
Math training, your special ed teachers will be involved in that as well?
I would certainly hope so. Lydia back there, I think she's back there. But there'll be, anybody's invited.
Anybody that's tied to math should get that.
Yeah,
training.
they really should be. So we don't want to pull them out for something else.
Right. Okay, number 7, delegations, and we have 2 tonight signed up. And so I'll call each one of you one at a time. Just reminding you ladies, the board's glad to hear from you, but we're not allowed to respond. That's just the way it is. So Haley Vaughn, you're first. And so if you would just tell us who you are, where you're from, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi guys, my name is Haley Fawn and I am a parent to a preschooler from Birch River Elementary. So on our last meeting on March 7, 2024, we was made aware that the Board of Education was wanting to close out our bus program and make our 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds ride the big buses without any aids or any of the proper equipment to keep our children safe. And even by like the state guidelines, any child under the weight of 40 pounds is required to be in a car seat. And if not, and if caught, then the necessary precautions are taken by the law. So on here, we have the Administrative Law Division by states, 3(7)(a), each child shall be transported in a CSR suitable for each child's weight, age, height, and specialized needs that meets acceptable FMVSS credibility. And each child shall be properly secured in the CSRS. The CSRSs are supposed to be placed in each seat right behind the bus driver. And the child have to be securely put in there. And another thing that I would like to talk about is there are so many reports of buses getting into wrecks for drunk drivers or for just easy accidents that could happen to anyone. Well, our little kids, their bones are not fully developed. So say if they're not in a proper seating with proper security into their seats, even if a bus would get into like a fender bender and if they would fall, they could possibly break bones, have further damage to their body that could also hinder their proper growing of their bones or other possibilities. Along with, have you seen any 3, 4, 5-year-olds around just running? They're super hyperactive. So along with taking care of them, is the bus driver going to get up and put them in their proper seats? Like in every morning and keep them in their seats along with paying attention to the road or paying attention to the other kids. Because I know there's a lot of students and older students, they don't stay in their seats, they yell. And I know my daughter personally, if she hears any loud noises, she breaks down into tears. So if she would get up, she wouldn't know what to do. If the bus driver yelled at her to get back in her seat, she would most likely just sit in the middle of the row and start crying because she doesn't know what she did wrong. So what are you going to do? Are you going to have the aides, who we was also told are supposed to be removed as well, to keep them in their seats and to keep our children safe? which are what the buses are supposed to be for, to transport our kids safely. And if our littles don't have that proper equipment to keep them safe, why would we even want to put our kids on the bus? That's why we have a specific bus program to keep our littles safe. Because if they would get hurt, it would be not only detrimental to us because our children are safe, but then that could also be a suing or anything to the school or the board if our child was not taken care of properly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next we have Katie Hamrick.
Good evening, my name is Katie Hamrick. I have a son at Birch River Preschool. I will start off by saying he does have an IEP. But I also want to say that a lot of children that come into preschool are waiting for IEPs and get their IEPs in preschool. So the ones that do need harnesses won't have them ready. I think that they should have harnesses. They are recommended for any student under 40 pounds. I also volunteer in the classroom 1 to 2 weeks, and I can say a lot of these children are small. I seen one this year that still wore 2T clothing. That to me needs a harness. Also wanted to add on to what she said. These kids are not fully fused in their bones. They are very still fragile. If there was an accident, the 3 and 4-year-olds would be at the most risk of having serious injuries. I do know that they sent out a survey to a lot of the parents asking about the safety of the buses and their recommendations if they want to keep them. 31 out of the 32 parents said that they would like to keep the buses and the aids. The last one did not answer the question. I wanted to add on that the ECLKC of Head Start site recommends and puts in there that they must have a child restraint and at least 1 bus aid. Not to mention the bus driver needs to focus on driving. Not paying attention to my 3-year-old doing not what he's supposed to do. And I can say that as a mom to a 3-year-old and he's turned 4, he's not going to do what you ask him to do. He's not going to sit in a seat. He needs proper structure. They are learning self-control, and they have not learned that yet. Mine is not going to sit in a seat. I will fight in his IEP to get a harness on his bus if I have to, but I would really prefer that they keep the preschool bus open. A lot of these kids need this and they need the structure. They do not have the self-control to keep themselves in a seat and focus on what they're doing. And I would hate for a bus driver to have to take his eyes off the road to keep a child in their seat or from getting harmed and then have an accident. Not to mention the increased episodes of drunk driving bus drivers. When I send my kid to school, I expect my kid to be taken care of. I expect him to get there safely, and if he's not going to go safely, then I'm not going to send him. So as a mom that cares about my child and the other children in the classroom, these kids need to have supervision. They are not going to act right on a bus that have never been in a bus. These 3-year-olds do not have the self-control to sit in a seat and act like they should be. The bus driver does not have time to deal with that. He needs to keep his eyes on the road and to properly maintain the bus. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, number 8, presentation discussion. Kate Hughes.
It's like pushing with an H, pushing.
Pushing.
Yeah, that's what I tell my students.
Okay, with the art card update.
Yep, then I've asked her to come. We had art card, if you remember, last year at our Title I schools, and I've asked her to give us kind of a progress update, let us know how it's working, so then we can move forward with requests for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Glad I wore heels or I would be near the mic. My name is Kate Hushin. I'm president of Art Cart, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and also what we've done so far this year. And I appreciate you having me this evening. So Art Cart, we're a mobile art program, and we are providing arts education to 4th and 5th graders in the Title I schools in Nicholas County this year. And the mission of Art Cart, the reason I created it 8 years ago was because the arts are cut from a lot of elementary schools in the state. And our mission is to provide opportunities for creativity in the classroom during the daily curriculum. We're a one-stop shop. We offer everything: curriculum, instruction, all material, anything administrative, so you don't have to worry about that. Our teachers are hired and trained. My background, I'm certified pre-K through 12, and I'm originally from Wood County, so I'm a West Virginia girl. And we have grown exponentially every year. So we started in 2016, and we are currently in about 27 elementary schools in the state, 6 of them being here. In terms of what I think is the most important thing about Art Cart would be the curriculum. So the approach to Art Cart is to address the learning deficits of kids, making sure we maintain all the CSOs for the state, connecting things to other subjects, preparing them for the middle and high school requirements that they're not getting as early as we would like. They have fun and unique experiences that help them build their confidence, and there's a lot of developmental importance to this. I gave you guys our folders, which has a lot of our information about the curriculum, the kinds of things they study, how the program works, and the format. And then this is a little bit about the developmental importance. So there's a lot of benefits to arts education. I think the early learning in terms of arts education, the motor and cognitive skills, that's very important. The socio-emotional development, problem solving, decision making, improved academic performance. Arts is always low man on the totem pole. I'm not so sure it should be. If anything, I think the workplace is wanting more creativity, and problem solving is really key to that. And I think having these creative experiences builds off of that. There is a piece in the folder they gave you where I think that is most important right now, and that's mental health. So it's more than art instruction. We want to do something that relieves stress, increases empathy, and prepares them for other things in life. It's a very tough time for a lot of people. And this is an opportunity to bring joy in learning. And I think that in art class, 2 + 2 can equal ice cream. And in math class, it equals 4. So it's great to be able to use your imagination. On the back of that sheet are some sources that we cited. And then this kind of shows what children enjoy in terms of their subjects. So art is number 2, math is number 1, which I think is great. But we try to connect art to every subject, and I think that's because we use rulers, we use compasses, we talk about perspective, we talk about proportion, we talk about literature, illustration, we talk about music. So there's so many ways that creativity is connected to a lot of things in the world. And I think it's important that the students learn that as well. In terms of the things that Nicholas County students will have achieved by the end of the year with Art Cart, met all CSOs. They will have experienced over 25 different art mediums. They will have used every single art technique, painting, printmaking, sculpture, mixed media. They do it all, and they've made connections to all subjects using the arts. These are a few of the pictures of them working, which is my favorite part. I've been to all the schools, and I know I'm here speaking on behalf of Art Cart, but it brings me such joy, and I know that we're making a difference when a student says it's their favorite part of the day. And that means the most to me, what the students say, and it means that we're doing the job that I want to do. So I hope at some point the board is welcome to come and visit one of our classes. I can share the schedule with you guys. I'd love for you guys to see it in action. And I think the most important thing is that art equals opportunity. I think growing up, you always ask the question to your kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that was asked to me, and I said I wanted to be an artist, and everyone said you're never going to make any money, and now I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm a testament to the fact that arts and creativity are really important, and these are just a few things that you can do while being creative. So my final thoughts are just that to have a truly exemplary academic system, you need to educate the whole. And it's just another tool in your toolkit. And I think that we need to bring as much arts education back as possible. And I want to thank you so much for understanding the benefits and supporting Art Cart and going along on this mission with us. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I hope you get to take a good look at the folders. And like I said, my offer and my invitation stands if you ever want to come to an Art Cart class. So thank you.
You're going to This lasts for 18 weeks, 4th and 5th grade, in
Yes.
4 elementary schools.
We go to
How were those schools selected and why?
Title I funding.
Well,
So
what 4 elementary schools?
for next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it says here, 4
Oh,
elementary.
yeah, the 4 elementary schools, so we were in the 6. A couple of them lost Title I funding for next school year, so we're at the schools that are maintaining it for next year, and then we've written a grant to expand in one of the schools that wants to add to 2nd and 3rd grade.
Dr. Leahy, which schools are those?
Yeah, it's Zila,
Oh, so-
I can answer
I'm
those.
sorry.
Zila, Cherry River, Mount Lookout, and Birch River. And Mount Lookout is looking at, they applied for a grant for 2nd and 3rd.
There's only one comment
Yeah.
about your presentation. I believe art should be ahead of math.
You know, I thought so too, but I didn't want to lie. That's the statistic right now, and I think,
I agree with the numbers.
but, you know, I think it's just like when you ask a kid when they're really good at something, I think art, and then math, if you're really good at math, you're going to say math, right? But like with art, I think a lot of people feel like they can be successful. But I mean, raise your hand if you feel like you're not good at art. That's normally the response that I get. But I think it's more about process over product, and that's really what we emphasize. It's not about creating some masterpiece. It's about learning through the process and having fun with the process and creativity. So.
Well, I think, yeah, I've had a lot of good math students.
Listen, I agree. I mean, art should be the whole pie, I feel like. So.
But yes, I think it complements, any of the arts complements your other subjects.
For sure,
To
absolutely.
encourage students to do better in their other classes.
Definitely, definitely.
So Dr. Lee, what would it cost if we wanted to add this to a school?
It will depend, we'd have to get a price quote from her, but it's based on each classroom's enrollment because she buys supplies for the classes.
It says $49,500.
That'd be
That's for the-
12.5 a school.
It's not, it's
not
not,
exact
listen,
math-
I
math
am,
science?
I am an art girl, not saying I'm not good at math, I am good at math, but it's a combination of instruction, so that's for the teachers, and then material for students. So I would just have to estimate, yeah.
And would that all be Title I?
No. I can only spend Title I dollars on schools that are designated as Title I schools.
I'll put it this
And the
way,
rest of the money comes from?
Well, it depends. We have a variety
We
of
apply for a
sources.
grant.
There are some monies available in Title IV, Title V.
I've had some people,
Depending on what they
there
want to
is
get
the
grants.
socio-emotional piece, so like some people do things like, if it's a mental health kind of thing, like Project Aware, I mean, people get creative, literally. But ultimately, the more you do economies of scale, more bang for your buck kind of thing. We're
I
talking
mean, if
numbers.
this board so chooses, we could explore that with the additional principals.
And there's also, we talked about the community grant in September. If somebody wanted to add something in the middle of the year or do a semester thing, we've done semester pilots. We're currently doing a semester pilot for a homeschool. We did one in Wetzel County last year. We're adding Putnam. I mean, we're flexible. We already have a teacher here, so we could add.
You have a bus? How do you distribute?
It's called Art Cart
How do you
because,
distribute your time
so.
between these schools?
Yeah, so with scheduling, we handle all scheduling, but normally what we do is we contact the schools, we ask about recess, lunch, intervention times, and we just kind of try to work around those things. And right now, the reason that we do the 18-week model is to allow for flexibility with testing and things like that, because we know the classroom teachers have a lot on their plate. We can get it in even if it's, and it gives a little more flexibility because even though there's 36 weeks, you got snow days, you've got testing, you've got field trip, you've got assemblies, all of that kind of stuff. So it gives us flexibility with scheduling to get to all the schools in that week. And sometimes we go to one school more than once, and we just kind of hit grades. It totally depends on what the principal gives us. But 45 to 50 minute instructional periods.
Once a week?
Well, once a week, every other week. Because we consider testing in the spring, and holidays, things like that. So we just try to get there as often as we can without stressing people out.
So how come 4th and 5th grade? How come you,
Yeah, so they get art in the middle school. So normally, every county, some counties do different things. We customize for a county's needs, but because they have a middle school credit, it better prepares them for middle school when they have art. That's normally the thinking when you start in 4th or 5th grade. Wood County started in 4th and 5th, and now we're 2nd through 5th in all 16 of their elementary schools. So that's our largest county, and then we're also in Jackson and Wetzel, and then we do a virtual homeschool.
Now, you're in 26 other schools?
27.
Have you been here before?
This is our first year, but I've not presented here yet. Dr. Lee and I worked together last year.
Dr. Lee, I know the Nicholson County Community Foundation, the largest fund holder is the Sillinger Fund. And I know that the Sillinger Fund really encourages investments in this type of thing. So if you were looking for some money, I would suggest you, I know they support Ivy and Stone and all those others, but they normally, it's over $100,000 a year that's given out throughout the community. I think this would interest them.
so who does our grant writing? Is that you?
Usually it ends up with me.
So that, I mean, I know people are going to be shocked. I think some people are going to be shocked, but I think arts are important. When I was teaching, though, that was the last thing because I'm a math guy, but, sorry, Mr. Berry, but, you know, I think if she could get a grant, can we add schools next year?
Oh, absolutely,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's always helpful to start small because you have to build trust. You know, we want to make sure that things are running smoothly, the response is positive, you know, and I think it has been, and that's a testament to us continuing hopefully next year. But at any time, and I'm willing to help, like, I can lead the horse to water, but I can't write the grant for you. But so Mount Lookout's using a West Virginia Culture, Arts, and History grant for next year. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Wolf, but I talked to Jim Wolf about what might be possible, what grants are applicable for this kind of thing. And then the community grants are a great option as well, so.
And community grants, my understanding is the deadline is September.
Yes, so we missed our window, we won't miss it next time.
Yeah, we will miss it again.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I would say I have a little bit of a drive back to Wood County, so.
You're going to miss
That's all right, we got your number, we can call you.
Yes.
You're going to miss
I
all
have 3
fun.
kids. I think I'm going to miss tucking them in bed. That's okay. The dad can handle it, right?
Thank you very much. Be
It's a
careful.
night off for me. Thank you.
Next, we have Communities and Schools update from Summer Dillsworth, Billy Giles, and Monica Belmont, and I guess as well, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Superintendent, board members. I wanted to come before you to update you on the Communities and Schools program that we implemented and to introduce you to our staff that you approved. Our elementary school Communities and Schools site coordinator is Monica Belmont at Panther Creek Elementary. Our Communities and Schools site coordinator for Richwood Middle School is Summer Dillsworth. And our Communities and Schools site coordinator for Richwood High School is Billy Giles. And so you might ask, what is Communities and Schools? And it's quite a bit of things, but Communities and Schools in West Virginia surround students with a community of support, and it empowers them to stay in school and achieve in life. And these ladies can tell you a little bit more about the specifics of the program. It is now in all 55 counties in West Virginia. This is something that the governor and first lady have implemented and has been very successful in implementing. Matter of fact, governor gives his salary to Communities and Schools, so they're believers. I had an opportunity to go to the governor's mansion and meet the founder of Communities and Schools. And so Within the state, they've developed a good relationship with the national level. And so these site coordinators, what they do is they build relationships, have been building relationships with students, with staff at the schools, with parents and guardians, and with community. And as you'll see in their demonstrations and updates, I think they've been successful in the last few months. So we'll start first with Mrs. Belmont.
Chris, I don't know how to share it. You have to come help me.
It's not a video. Just break it.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, thank you. These was my phone.
As Mr. Williams said, I'm Monica Belmont. I'm the one at site coordinator at Panther Creek. This is Summer, Richwood Middle, and this is Billy at Richwood High School. I'm just going to go through a little bit of the program, and then I'm going to tell you more about Panther Creek, and then we'll talk about each of their schools and what we're working on. So community in schools, the main thing is building relationships, as Mr. Williams said. It empowers kids to stay in school, surrounding them with a community of support, and that's what we're trying to do. Addresses needs like food, clothing, counseling when needed, or academics. Trying to help just reduce the stress a child could be under in just any day. And interventions, which we'll explain it a little more as it goes, are in 3 tiers. You have tier 1, which is school-wide. We all have activities like that. Tier 2 is working like in a small group with some kids, and then tier 3 is one-on-one. And Bill Milliken is the founder and board vice chair of Communities in Schools, and his quote is, "Programs don't change people, relationships do." Okay, site coordinators, like all 3 of us, work with our school to set a goal for that school, okay? At Panther Creek, my goal, and this is working with the principal and support team, is reading. We chose academics, but reading specifically, because in recent years, it seems like math has gone up higher than reading. And it was the same at Panther Creek, it was the same at Cherry River. But our reading scores, as I looked at the GSA, the IXL, the STAR, reading needed to improve at Panther Creek. So I use that as my goal, and when I take kids, that's what I'm working on. Billy's and Summers have chosen attendance as their goal to work on. And for CIS, you're told, as we've all been trained now a couple of times, but we got to go through some more training, to center our goals around attendance, behavior, or academics. Okay, and mine just happens to be academic. SISDM is the name of our data program. It's CIS Data Management. And I just wanted you to know we're learning that, okay? We're in the process. I know maybe that's not large enough for you all to see. But we have regional specialists that work with us twice a week. We do Teams calls with them on Mondays and Tuesdays. We can call them whenever we need help. I just share my screen with her, and she goes through all the steps with me to help me get it in there, because that is how we show that our kids are improving, is by logging it in almost daily, really.
Okay, so at Panther Creek, I'll explain my program and then they'll explain theirs. I have 10 students on my caseload that are case managed, and our goal next year is to have 25 each, okay? After I get parent permission, which I have to do to be able to case manage, I work with them on reading mainly, but it can also include some behavior. It can also include just giving them some attention, extra attention as needed, or a combination of all of that. I have my Tier 1 activities at Panther Creek are, I do a reward every month. I've only done it once because we've only been there since December, so I've had one award so far. For IXL, whatever grade level has the most growth for that month. And then they got popsicles, and I have a photo of that later. But another one is I implemented reading buddies. So everything I do focuses on reading, okay? So second graders came down and read with kindergarten, and we did that once a month. Now we're getting ready to do it again. I also had Sarah Miles come, and she passed out free books to any kid that came to the class basketball games. And we're getting ready to do that again at the health fair next week. Like I said, I mostly work on reading, but I can give the basic needs out too as needed. I can play a game if they just want to talk. I listen. I'm just trying to build a bond with them. And sometimes I work in the class with them too. I can do that. So, and then I also take them, like I said, sometimes Tier 2 is the groups. So I'm trying to get them playing a game, like usually it's a word game, some type of reading skill, and it gets them talking a little bit to each other and talking to me. These were my winners of the IXL Award, first grade. Really it was both first grades, but that was the only picture I could get. And they got, like I said, popsicles for that month. And this is a picture of the reading buddies that we did, and I went down and tried to help out with it. And that's another picture of the reading buddies. Okay, now it is Richwood Middle's turn.
All right, and that's me. I'm Summer Dillsworth, and I'm the site coordinator for Richwood Middle School. I'm happy to be here and to see everybody. I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done this before, so just bear with me. So our goal is attendance, and so we started an incentive. Actually, it starts on the 20th, and we're going to go all the way until I think it's the May 20th. But if they have 2 or less excused absences, we're going to attend a Dirty Birds game. The kids seem really interested in going to something like that, so it's a nice incentive for them to go to that. And I pull the WEVIS attendance reports. I monitor them weekly to make sure that there's not any chronically absent students. And I meet with the students that are absent to find out why. I even call their homes and say, hey, why aren't you at school today? And try to build that personal relationship with them. I'll have approximately 10 on my caseload as well. I'm having a little trouble getting parents to sign permission forms. So my next step is to do a home visit or contact them to set something up, or with the teachers or the staff at the school. Mr. Collins has been wonderful about supporting this as well. So we also have a share shed, is what we call it, where we have gotten a lot of things donated. I've sent home regularly backpacks with kids that don't have backpacks. They don't have notebooks for class to write notes down or anything. Clothing, it's new clothing that we've had donated from, I can't remember the...
Raymond and Simon Chapman Resource Center.
Yes, it's brand new clothes. I mean, with tags that have like $130 on them, like nice clothes. Toiletries we've had donated, and then on Fridays we have had donated food from New Beginnings Worship Center, or the Resource Center, and we've made food bags to send home with the kids over the weekend that might need extra food. I'll show pictures though in a minute of everything, because I'm really excited about it.
What percentage participation do you have?
So right now, my Tier 1 is probably about 14 kids that I see regularly for like coming into the classroom or the shed.
So right now, I have 4 permission slips signed. Like I said, I've been trying to get the other ones. But I took a picture of that because we tally every time a child comes into our shed or anything, we tally it. So it looks like I've had about, let's see, 10, 11, 12, 15 kids for clothes, about 15 for hygiene items, 5 for school supplies, 10, probably around, we've probably given between Billy and I 100 food bags over the last few weeks. And then we also have had snacks donated, like for our kids that are doing extracurricular activities in the evening. We've given snacks to them to hold them over until they get home at night.
And I'm allowed to ask questions now.
Oh, no, go for it.
I saw this in your report, in your school report, and I was very interested in it because I thought it was an excellent program. How are you going to supplement this? I mean, is it all going to be based on people volunteering, or are they
We've
doing
had
it?
so many donations. It's been unreal, the amount of people that have wanted to step up and help. And we listed those at the very end of people that have donated and stuff, but it's unreal, the people that stepping up in our community to donate items.
And you can always say, you know, we appreciate your help. We need this now.
I'm really active on social media, and I've asked, like, there was a kid that needed track shoes. And so I said, does any of my friends have a size 13 track shoes that this child could use? And immediately messages started rolling in. That kid had a brand new pair of track shoes the next day. So, I mean, it's been a really great program. But I'll let Billy. I'm just really excited about it.
My name's Billy Giles. I'm the site coordinator at Richwood High School. Our goal is attendance, more specific to reduce chronic absenteeism. 27% of students at Richwood High School are chronically absent. We talked about the mission. We empower the students by delivering the tiered approach. Tier 1 supports are available to all the students. Tier 2 are available to the small groups, and Tier 3 are in the one-on-one. The basic needs, they're going to be the same as Summers. We've passed out about the same stuff. I did go into a classroom, a 10th grade classroom. Hygiene is a big problem at our school. We have a lot. So we went into 2 10th grade classes and talked to them about oral health and why it's important. And then we were able to give them all a little bag that had toothbrush, toothpaste, and some placards in it that had all been donated. Tons of stuff. I do the morning greetings in the morning. I go to both lunches. I get 2 lunches. I get to visit with the kids and have lunch and talk to them and see how their day's going, listen to them complain sometimes. We're always looking for donations. We go out and pick them up. We'll meet with people. They're dropping them off. One lady came from 5.5 hours away. She had business in Raleigh County, so on her way, she just brought us a load of stuff. It was amazing. I've done a statement, so I don't leave anything out, so I'm going to go to that now. My progress is as follows. I consider my biggest win so far to be the relationships that I've developed with the kids. Welcoming them to school each morning as they arrive, eating lunch with them, seeing them out on the walkways, visiting their classrooms gives me the opportunity to interact with many. I started this December 4th and was met with guarded, standoffish responses from the kids. Now those very kids stop and visit with me and look for me when they need advice or support. We've had an overwhelming response from our community to help provide basic needs to the kids. Individuals, groups, businesses, churches, and resource groups have really stepped up to provide support for kids. We quickly outgrew the space we had at school for this Tier 1 support available to all students with no questions asked. A building was donated for use by communities and schools and was delivered and set February 19th. Insulation was donated and put in the following week. Wall coverings were donated and put up. Battery-powered lights were donated. This building is now stocked with toiletries, clothes, feminine products, school supplies, food, shoes, backpacks, laundry packs, and more. Our schools have been very generous and welcoming, sharing spaces with us as often as possible, but we need a place where we can call home, a place where we have our supplies and the kids know to come find us, a place to enter the data that is an integral component to the Communities and Schools model. It's imperative to the success of the Communities and Schools model to have a comfortable, confidential space to meet with our kids. Kids often come to talk to us about personal issues and things they don't want others to hear. Feeling safe and supported is necessary for children to succeed in school and life. Many times we see that kids are embarrassed by family or financial situations and feel judged by their peers and others. Some kids just need one caring adult that can give them a little extra guidance to see hope in their future. Whether it's making sure they get to class, and I do have some that I go around and peek in the windows and make sure that they've made it to class. Sometimes they get lost. Listening to them vent or pointing out their good qualities. We are their advocate, we are their cheerleader. We give them honest advice with hard truths with the goal of making them happier and more successful people. We want them to want to do good. To help the kids, we need power to the building that was donated. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, you need a light in here. It would also be beneficial to have some climate control. We hope that the insulation would be enough. However, we're concerned the clothes donated for the kids are going to mildew and other supplies are going to ruin due to the cold and heat. Outlets, outlet boxes, outlet covers, and wire to connect these things have all been donated, and certified electricians have volunteered to do the work. Our thought is to use our share shed as an office and meeting space to show kids the supports that are available to them. Our building is visible to school cameras and can be equipped with a camera inside to provide audio, video without audio to ensure confidentiality. This idea is the result of having no other options. There are no empty classrooms, office spaces, or areas to work in, with most of those spaces already having double occupancies. In order for communities schools to succeed at my campus, we must have space to enter the data, have small groups, and talk to those kids one-on-one. I welcome ideas for an alternative place to house communities and schools at Richwood High School.
Richwood Middle.
And Richwood Middle. And some donations from the New Beginnings Worship Center.
Yes.
And those are the food bags that we make and send out. The lady that came and dropped off the supplies brought us some reusable grocery bags. So we used those and told the kids that if they brought them back, we would refill them the next week. So we'll see. This is the original RMS space.
This is where I was. I was in the, which they don't have room. But I was with the Officer Dietz in there. So he's back there, and then I was right here.
It's 5 foot wide by 20 foot long. We had stuff all over the, as high up as we could go, all over the walls. This is the high school space. And then that is the shed.
What we've done so far with it.
And all the things that have been put in, collected.
Let me stand over here. I don't know if you can see. So we have the food in these cabinets to keep the critters out. And then we have, which we haven't had, but we have our personal hygiene items here. And then feminine products back here. We have clothing right here. Sorry, I realize they can't see back there when I'm doing this. Just do it on both, sorry. I'm trying to think of what else we have in here. Undergarments, there's the book bags over here, it's the school supplies. We would love for you guys to come out and see it in person. We've put a lot of heart, soul, and work into it. Spent a lot of hours trying to get it the way that, and the kids feel comfortable coming to us. They feel comfortable coming into the share shed. I don't know if that's the last one.
She's saying what we need. I was gonna say for Panther Creek, the major need that, they've gotten tons of donations. I just haven't. I reached out to a couple, but I just haven't had much yet. Just like personal care items is what we need there, like shampoo, toiletries, things like that to send home. But for you all, it was a little bit different. What were you gonna say?
It was the,
okay.
electricity.
So no, that's all then.
We just really need electricity.
Okay, you got that.
Or an alternate space. If there's another place in the school, we're happy to occupy that, but.
Have you looked at the new design for the new school at Richwood? And is there going to be some space that will be available? Okay. And where do you find time to do all this?
Well, that's a good question.
Multitasking.
We multitask, and I went on weekends to go get, supplies, food for people that want to meet me, to give me stuff. We started an Amazon wish list and a Walmart wish list, and it gets shipped straight to the school. So if we get stuff like that, I've only had to, the only thing I've had to buy is laundry detergent, because we had a student who didn't have any way to do laundry. And so they would come to school with the same outfit on every day, so we give him a different outfit, but he wanted that outfit back, so I took it to Gully River Elementary went and bought some laundry detergent and washed it for him and brought it back before school's out. So it'd be really nice if we could get a laundry facility. Sorry, I know I'm pushing my way, but.
Let me ask you a couple questions if I could. Let's go to the demand side first versus supplies. It sounds like supplies that the communities are stepping up. It's just the question is, you know, you can always use more, it sounds like.
Yeah.
On the demand side, how do you vet or approach to decide which students that you want to try to target to get in this program? Is there any, it's just because you see the kids?
They
or-
align with the school goal. The ones that will be case managed students will be ones that they are those chronically absent kids, the ones who don't come.
So you're
or
looking,
face it.
you're looking at the absent kids, then you're going to the parents or the kid and try
Yes,
to.
and say, how can we help?
And try to mentor them or get that in?
Yes.
Now, what if a kid comes to you that's not one of those kids? Has that happened?
80%, yeah, 80% of our kids have to align with our school goal, and then we have 20% that don't have to align with the goal. They can have other needs, and we can fit them in there. And then we talk to all the kids, so they don't have to be case managed. They're kids that come to me crying, and I just stop and talk to them wherever they are.
Well, your goals are attendance. How would that work with you, if your goals being reading? How do you get which students to align that you
For me?
feel? Yes, for you. I'm kind of interested in how you select the kids, vet the kids, target
Right.
the kids to get into the program.
First, what I said was, and I did this on the advice of the regional specialist, I just sent out an email to all the teachers, and I said, just refer me someone
Okay.
that is in your classroom that you think needs it, okay? Because I didn't know, because I had just gotten there in December, I wouldn't have known. So they sent me names,
Okay.
and then I worked on getting the permission, which I did get all the permissions this year. I didn't have a problem getting them back. But next year I have to increase it, so, but it doesn't have to be a teacher referral. It can be just someone that I have noticed has a low STAR score or low IXL. I can send it home myself.
I'm
If the
just,
parents
I'm
sign.
kind of interested in that, because I know that there's programs out there. There's a backpack program for food that's I think on weekends, because I've supported that some. I think it's through the church over there.
Little Laurel.
Yes, Little
Yeah,
Laurel.
I've been in contact with
Judy
them.
Masella, actually, she graduated a year behind me, I think, into that. So how does that, in other words, they have a certain population that they're trying to service. That population is different than the population you service, or do they kind of cross?
They cross.
They do cross. Yeah, it makes, okay.
They call that a brokered support. Like we're, if it's already being done at the school, they said, I mean, we can still participate and help. It's already being done, so.
Yeah, and I know
With
like
those
the
same
local
kids.
Rotary, I know they're raising about $5,000, and they've done this for several years for the Somersville Elementary. They target different schools. I think they did Panther Winter Coat Program. So again, I guess that just, they're doing that. I don't know how they're selecting kids or giving to the principals, and the principals are selecting them. I guess they would get with you to see what, I guess, crosses, for lack of a better word. So could be some people getting those winter coats versus, that could be in your program or not be in your program, I guess. Okay. And the last question I had is donations. How do you account for the donations? Like if I can understand the supplies and needing the building, how do you account for it? Do you have a separate account for bank account, or how's that work with donations of money?
They've had money donations. I haven't had any yet.
I'm just curious,
But they-
I'm just curious how you account. Do you have to count through the school?
At our
or-
school, when they make a monetary donation, they write communities and schools in the memo line, and then Trish created a line item.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Created that.
Is
and
this a new program that we have this year? Is this beginning this year?
It is. Yes.
That's what I thought.
We were the last county to get it.
Next to last.
Next to
last.
Oh, good.
Now, is this a Title I, or how do we choose the schools to
They had to be feeder schools, so we needed an elementary, a middle, and a high school that were feeder schools.
Okay.
To do our pilot program, I remember that now.
Yeah.
So we got middle school.
And
high
it's
school,
possible
and Panther
that we
Creek.
spread out from here to other schools.
Well, we have a 3-year grant to pay the salaries of these individuals for 3 years. So and we opted to hire all professionals. So most of our grant is going to pay the salaries of these individuals.
And you spend a lot of time working with public, trying to get
Yes, we've gotten tons
support.
of donations, yes,
Yeah.
and support. It's been amazing, really.
Contacting the resources that are available in our area and then matching them up to the families and just communicating that, hey, this is here if you need this, if you want this, if you benefit.
Like, we even had Columbia say they would give us wood for the walls, to make the walls to cover our insulation. Like we've had the Resource Center, New Beginnings, they give us food like every 3 weeks, and toiletry items. And then the Sonia Raymond, they give us clothes and food, gotten stuff from there. And just, I mean, people have been wonderful with our Amazon and our Walmart wish list. I mean, and if we ever say we have a need, I mean, it's met. It's actually really amazing how the community stepped up. So.
I think it's an awesome program if you can get mentors and get clear down to that level. I'm not an educator, but if you can. But it's kind of disappointing that you can't get the parents to buy in, but I get it.
I know.
I get it.
That's part of the problem, that they're absent to start with, but.
Yeah, and we're trying to track them down to, get them to school, but their parents are not.
Have to build that relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this, and I don't want you to think I'm against you in any way, I'm supporting you 100%. But there are concerns about putting kids in the shed, okay? First of all, if the fire marshal would check it, if they would okay it, we'll get you some electric, right? That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I think electric for lights, that's not an issue at all.
And even an outlet if they need it. But we're not so sure about, will the fire marshal,
I think one thing we might want to do is have the fire marshal come and tell us what we have to do to that to make it acceptable for students to be in.
That'd be
I'd
perfect.
rather do it that way than try to figure out what they're going to look for. It's just ask them what they need to make it accommodating for students.
does it have a window? No, it does not.
No,
This
we
shed
are-
is right at the middle school, there at Craigsville High School, middle school, the
Yes.
shed's right there on campus.
Yeah, it's right in between both.
And so, is
That's the
there,
one you can see from the office door on the
Yes.
Yeah,
left?
yep.
so is it like a double door or you have a side door?
It's a double on the end.
I don't know how to get I have tons of pictures of it, but it's the double door, and we always leave it open anytime we're in there, because
I always noticed it was open, I wondered, yeah.
When do they come to this? Is this during class time or after school or?
Some of them.
I mean, it makes sense, you're right there at the school, you know?
Mine is built into like their center time is when I take them out.
Okay.
I mean, I'm really completely different from what they're.
Do you have people like them working at your school in that capacity?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, is that what you do the whole time?
We do, like putting it together.
Yeah, they're paid by the grant.
We do
You're
evenings.
paid by the
We spend a
grant.
lot
Do
of
you
time.
have-
Panther Creek is just
Yes.
me.
Just you?
Yes.
and I'm at Richwood Middle and she's at Richwood High, but we share because we're on the same campus.
Are you eligible? Is she eligible at Panther for
Yes.
the same type of?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are all schools?
No, just the three.
just the three.
Three were voted on the feeder schools for that, this program.
The doors look like this, and we keep them open all the time, and we have, I mean, that's before we had the steps built. My dad donated the wood, and Billy's mom made the steps.
I'm 100% for you. I'm a little concerned
Cups are cold.
about the fire marshal,
Yeah,
and I'm a little bit concerned. It puts you all in a bad place when you take a kid. It's not that you all would do anything.
Yes.
At this day and time, it just takes one of them to say,
Yeah.
one accusation to say, they did this, they did that. And I know you need your privacy, so
But if they had a camera up there too, you could actually see.
Good point.
And there is a camera. I took a picture of that too. Hold on.
We didn't have it inside.
Yeah, you need one inside, and that way you're
Yeah,
covered.
that's totally, we're totally fine with that too. I think she
Not that
mentioned
you're trying to hide something.
Oh, I know, I know.
I'm just looking at your protection.
Well, logistic wise, it sounds like the kids are coming out of class or whatever, so almost have to be on campus. I was thinking,
Yeah.
if it was off campus or another building, you almost have to be on
The
campus.
high school has 3 buildings there that are used for storage directly behind the middle school. And we're between the last building, there's high school users and the middle school. We're about 50 foot from the high school office. When you guys were there, and you came, instead of going towards the cafeteria, you go this way, there was a set of stairs that went down to the right there.
I think Mr. Mooseman made a really good point too. It'll be interesting if this program, I know you're looking now, but hopefully in a couple of years, they'll be moving that school to Richwood, and it'll be interesting if something can be integrated.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not a couple of years.
Next time.
September
2025. Yeah. Excellent.
But we're happy to be a part of
So that's
this.
even sooner, that's even more critical.
We appreciate.
How much money do you invest in this space versus looking long-term, if you're gonna stay with the program, what can you do on the Richwood campus? I think is a good.
Well, I think they might be able to jump power from one building to the other. So anyway, we're aware of it. We're not going to take any action on this tonight. It is a discussion item with possible action, but since we're going to go to the fire marshal first, we're just going to put it on hold. We're not even going to say that it's tabled, because if we table it, we have to address it at the next meeting. So we will simply just put it on hold.
Do we need to get a hold of the fire marshal?
Yeah,
Or
we'll take care of that.
you'll take care of that, and then you'll let us know?
We'll
Let us know when they're coming.
We'll get somebody on that quickly.
Thank you.
I also have, there's a BRIM inspector coming to visit schools next week, so I can have him or her offer some guidance on that too.
Just ask the questions, we'll find what they need to do.
But we're for you 100%.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And we would, like I said, we would love for you guys to stop by and check it out. We're really proud of it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you, Mike, for being amazing. Very good work for us. We appreciate you.
Okay, action items, discussion with possible action on the MOUs with the Candleman Golly Medical Center for Services at Nicholas County Career and Technical Center, Mount Lookout Elementary, Glade Creek Elementary, Birch River Elementary, Mount Nebo Elementary, and Zila Elementary. So that's all in your packet. One thing, I was noticing that we required a space. When I read these this morning early, do we have space in all of those schools? Have we checked on that before we agree with it? Like at the Career Center, is there an extra room?
They have a mobile unit they can provide if we don't have a space for them. I think there's space at all these schools. And we've even looked in our buildings as to where those would be located, as close to the main entrance as possible, so that the parents don't have to go all the way down the hall to find the clinic. So I know Mount Nebo have been looked at. Of course, after this year, we may have more space in this classroom. We'll have more rooms over. It doesn't start the next school year.
Right.
And we do have some classrooms that's going to be empty next year too. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Currently, none of these schools have.
They do not. They do not.
So the Nicholas County High School, their clinic is outside the building. Panther Creek is outside the building. Cherry River is inside. Any problems with the one inside the building?
Not that I'm aware of.
Ridgewood has a clinic in the building.
And these are open to the public?
Yes.
Is Ridgewood the only one that has a dental clinic in the building? That's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think he's nodding yes, I think he knows that's correct.
I can't, no, I can't, if you're talking to me, I can't hear you. Are you asking me questions? No? Yeah.
Wait,
I thought this was gonna be by their mobile. Isn't that what you told me, that they were gonna drive their mobile to each of these schools? That you didn't need space in the school?
Some of the buildings already have space, and some of them don't. And so I know that the ones that Mandy going to look at it.
Because I looked at two of them and they didn't have space. And then I mean, Camden has two or three mobiles.
Yeah.
One of them's as big as a bus.
Yeah, you have one sitting down here along the hill.
There's two sitting down there now.
Oh, okay.
There's two gigantic ones and that's my assumption that they were gonna serve them that way, because you're closing one of those schools, right?
Well, a couple of years, yeah, not for a while.
Yeah.
my only concern,
26 or something.
my only concern this day and time is letting a bunch of,
Well, the general public.
general public inside your school buildings.
Well, that's why we're wanting to put them on the outside building, where they can come, like at Zila, for example.
Have their own door.
That first room you come in, right, you think kindergarten last, that's where it would be located.
Yeah, I know we're doing the design of the new pre-K,
Right.
so it is a separate.
They
I
don't go
I
into the
agree with you
building
there.
there. But these, of course, are,
These are older properties and buildings to try to.
It's not that I don't want them to have a clinic, I just,
It's up to you to decide if you want the public. I'm just speaking in general terms. Even if they do a mobile unit, if we did it, they did it, Rainell did it, if they had a mobile unit, you can say, it's your property, you can say, this is not for the public, this is only for students and teachers.
it's not that I'm against the public,
No.
I just don't want them
Well,
inside
the
the
safety,
school.
yeah, but the school safety protocol will get you on that. If you don't have it in your MOU to say that you don't want the public, or you do want the public, then you have to go back and make sure, how do you secure somebody else's
Well,
mobile unit?
the mobile units would not be access to the school, right? They
Well,
would be
they-
outside on the school
Yes,
property.
But they
So
probably
that
park
one, I
by
don't
the
think-
gym door.
Yeah, I don't think it's back.
Yeah, as
It's-
long as the door next to it was
Yeah,
secure,
it's,
that's,
it's the ones that could possibly be
Yeah.
housed inside the school without the proper security measures would be concerned.
I'm just thinking that I was at Panther Creek for years, and there was a couple situations that arose that they had to bring the law in, and I was glad that they had a separate building. They didn't come into the school building.
well, my recommendation then would be to either table this item until we could have the Camden come and actually discuss this, or we can rewrite, we can add to the MOU where you would not want parents to have access to the facility during school hours. Maybe after school hours you could,
I can't hear anything they're saying.
rather than approve it now.
I mean, what do y'all think? Am I overreacting?
This is to be for next year,
Yeah,
the coming year?
Next school year.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time
We
to
got, yeah, we got
discuss,
good minutes. I'm just trying to get a few
get more
things.
information.
I mean, Kelly, in Calhoun County, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Did you all have clinics in the schools?
Yes.
Were they available to the public?
Yes.
Were they blocked off in any way, or did they come and go as they want?
One of them had a separate entrance. The other two did not. They had to check in. We had secure entrances. So they had to come through the secure entrances before they could go to the clinics. But as far as we did not have like walk-ins or anything like that. there were some scheduled appointments for live work or something like that, that it was just more convenient. You know, they didn't have to drive very far, but they did not just accept walk-ins.
I'm just one voice, you all speak up.
I'm not allowed to participate. Nor vote, I have to abstain. I'm on the board of directors.
Well, I have nothing against anybody in, as, you know, I'm just concerned when you open your buildings up and you I know how it is. If you open your building up, you got parents, well, not that we're trying to hide anything, but we're trying, you know.
I think they could serve the building, serve the school with a mobile unit and not have to have a room in the building. I think that's what they're telling us.
Well, you know, I could set up a meeting with them and talk to them about some of the issues that we have. I don't think I would just table this. I think I would just hold off on this item, not vote on or let it die or whatever, and bring it up at the right time, because it may be longer than that before we can even get a chance to sit down and talk to them. Got a few other things going on right now.
Well, you know, I mean, like, before I'd agree to this, I'd want to see, or I'd want to know where their room would be inside the school building.
Well, if that's the case, I think that you might want to reconsider the active AMOUs on the other schools that's already involved, because they're very similar to what these are. They're just kind of a template that they kind of use.
Yeah, and I understand that. The only thing is their clinics are outside except Cherry River.
But Cherry River would be one of those that may have the same issue.
Okay.
I can tell you how it's set up in Fayette County, if that would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
New River Health Association has our school-based health centers in Fayette County, and so when the clinics are outside and they have their own building, then they are open to the public. But like in New River Primary and Intermediate, like it's in the school, and so they only see school staff and children during school hours. So it just depends on where the clinic is. Like New River Intermediate has a clinic inside the school. It's one of the newer schools that was built with a clinic in it, and it has a separate entrance. So like if I go there to the clinic, I never go inside the school, I just go in the clinic door and
it has a camera and on the door, and then the door inside the school, you can't get into the school.
so like if I go to the clinic at New River Intermediate, I have to push the button into the clinic the same way you would to go into the school.
That just concerns me when you open up the building.
But
We
so-
already have trouble with people securing the doors now.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
not
if
as
you
much
ever-
as we did, but.
But like at Nicholas County High School and Summersville Middle, where we have that clinic, that sees outside patients, but of course
It's not in the school.
It's not in the school. Oak Hill High School, it's a separate building, you know, all of our clinics are separate.
Well, I mean, I think there's some question here to where you should not vote on this, in my opinion.
What's your thoughts, Mr. Ferguson?
I kind of like what you just said. If you can set the clinic up outside of the school, you open it to the general public. If you set the clinic up inside the school, if we have some of those like that, we just had to revisit it, then the healthcare provider would either have to just see the school population or make arrangements to bring a mobile unit outside the school, is my thoughts on it.
I'll set up a meeting with Camden and talk to them.
So we'll just
not vote on the item.
Because I agree, I think it's a liability, and especially in today's time, trying to secure these schools.
Right.
You know, the new schools we're building in pre-K will have a separate secured entrance, and if we can't do that with existing schools,
No. Well-
and try to put them on the school grounds without being in the school
Right, but
building.
you know, you picture a mobile unit and the door propped open. What we did when we used our mobile unit before the new schools were built in Fayette County, those kids were escorted out back and forth. There was no door open. They had to come out during part of COVID. We used our mobile unit for mental health services, and the kids were walked by a school employee back and forth. There was no school open door and the kids freely going in and out.
Well, even at Panther Creek, they walk the kids
Right,
over to the
right,
building.
yes.
And then when they're finished, either somebody walks them back
Yes.
or they go get them.
Yeah, they've
So-
got badges and,
It
Right.
sounds like the healthcare provider would, with our guidelines, would
Yes.
make the decision whether they wanted to put a mobile unit outside the school building to
Yes.
service that general population, or if it made more sense for them, if they're going to be inside the school, just
right,
to service the school population.
So I
That's
think-
their decision.
right. And those rules are up to you in your MOU to tell them
Yeah.
whether they can or can't.
So y'all agree just not any decision on this tonight? Everybody good with that? Okay, discussion B, discussion with possible action on permission to post and fill positions in between board meeting from April 8th through June 30th. So as you all know, we're going to have to, some transfers went out, and we've got several of those, and so it was my idea to let them post and fill and not wait between board meetings so that they could get these jobs filled as fast as possible and move on, and not drag it out till school starts. So, any discussion on that?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think, we don't want to slow that down and waiting on another meeting.
So do we have a motion to allow the superintendent and assistant superintendent to post and fill, and she's the personnel director as well, to post and fill positions in between board meetings from April 8th to June 30th, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Berry makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. C, discussion with possible action on the request from communities and schools. We are going to not vote on that tonight. We're going to wait and talk to the fire marshal.
Just to clarify, was there a specific request was to use the shed and to upgrade the shed? I mean, is that all they were? They were explaining to us the program, which I think we all support, but this specific request had to do with the shed.
That's part of the reason they were here,
Okay.
is they kind of requested some things, and that was the concerns, the things that I talked about, so.
What it was, they approached me about, they said they didn't have a space to have the program. There's no room in the high school middle school. And so they was wanting us to prepare a space for them. I said, well, I think it'd be better if you come and talk to the board about what your program even is first, so they understand what this program does for our students, before we ask them for anything else to do for it. Rather than just say, well, we're gonna fix up the building for community schools, and you all say, what's community schools? And so that's why I had to do the presentation. But yes, they don't have a space this year.
It looks like to me, just on the surface, that, and I agree with you, that has further inspection. But it looks like to me they could almost, I don't know, the cost on it, it looks like a shed that you can get. And I noticed the Chapman organization did some donations and stuff, and it might even be part of their mission to do that. It almost looks like to me you should have a separate shed to do all their storage. And if you wanted to meet with them, you get a smaller classroom. I don't know that you'd have to combine those two. In other words, if they need storage items and refrigerator and power, that's one thing. But it's almost like they were also trying to meet with their students inside that shed. And to me, it would almost make sense to separate those two.
I don't think they realized how many donations he was gonna get.
Yeah.
They ended up with a lot more stuff to put in that building than expected.
So the donations part of it, as long as it's secure and stuff, I don't think that's sound like it was the issue.
Right.
The issue is being able to meet with those students in there securely, properly, So to me, if they could find a smaller space
to meet and use the shed for their storage and stuff, it might make more sense. That's just my own comment.
Maybe even,
Get two of those sheds, you know, on last.
well, or a mobile office like these
Yes,
construction companies use,
Yes.
something like
And
that.
go out and try to get, maybe raise some money for that. I think it's a good program. I
I
think
mean-
you do it cheaply. I think they're just trying to combine two things, and that's going to maybe get them in some issues.
Okay, so, action item D, discussion with possible action on the updated preschool policy. The presentation, from the two ladies tonight, that really doesn't affect this policy at all.
The policy is, basically, you can see it there.
It's the same policy we had, except what you changed.
Right. We struck 3-year-olds without an IEP may be present in collaborative classrooms if they are under community partners enrollment guidelines. We changed that in cooperation with Head Start. We sent them the copy of what we wanted to propose, and they responded to it, and they're supporting it. Ms. White, am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
In classrooms staffed solely by Nicholas County Board of Education, we will not enroll 3-year-old non-IEP students. The Nicholas County Community Action Partnership Incorporated can enroll 3-year-olds in classrooms staffed by Nicholas County Community Action Partnerships Incorporated. Friends or Fun Child Development Center can enroll 3-year-olds in classrooms staffed by Friends or Fun Child Development Center. Everything else remains the same. And that was our whole purpose, was to remove 3-year-olds without IEPs from our preschool classrooms. And it took a lot of discussion to get here.
Well, and I noticed it had the board policies and the West Virginia code, so. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the updated preschool policy?
So moved.
Mr. Ferguson makes a motion, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Berry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, approval of Kristen Eccles, Board Treasurer, per code 18-9-6. She better step out.
Now, don't we do this every year?
Yes.
For the treasurer?
Yes. I'm just kidding. So,
So, we're not picking on you, it's just that it's your job.
so do we have a motion to approve Kristen Eccles, our Board Treasurer, per code 18-9-6?
As a fellow CPA, I'd be honored to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second on Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So consent items finance. So Mrs. Eckel, and as she's coming, I forgot, I meant to mention this at the beginning of the meeting, Mr. Ferguson's a new grandpa.
Oh, yes, I am. My daughter Jessica had my 5th grandson and my favorite granddaughter, I like to say. So it's our 6th grandchild today. They're both healthy. Thank you. Very proud.
Okay, we have a lot to go through. The first item is payment of current invoices, and those were in your packet.
Bring it up.
I don't think I have any questions. Here we go.
Is there anything on these payment, current invoices that's out of the ordinary, or is this, I mean, anything that you need to bring to our attention?
I don't believe so. Let me just double check.
Chris, how many of the 86-inch screens did we purchase?
This time there was 15.
15.
That's going to fill Cherry River Elementary. I didn't purchase those before because I was afraid they'd get hard during construction.
For the new school, or
Yeah,
put them in after the
they'll
new
stay
school?
there. I mean, we'll probably have to remove them during renovation of each classroom, but, yeah.
And that's what the computer center bill was.
I would have to look and see. We bought some teacher MacBooks at some point. I have to look at. I'm not sure when that bill came in. Maybe it was last time.
It was 53.7.
Yeah, that's probably it. It's 15 times, I think they're 4,200 feet, close to that.
Christian, can you kind of update us about the funding for the modular leases? I see the $58,000 payment on there through March. Has that been extended? Did they determine whether that grant from the Senator Manchin's office, the $1.6 million that was advertised, is that for the modulars?
I'm honestly not sure about that.
Okay.
I haven't gotten anything about about funding from the governor's office. Now, those modulars, the leases due in, one of them ends, I believe, at the end of April, and the other one ends at the end of June. So we have to have those extended, because of course the kids are still being
That's the second or third extension, isn't it, I think, on those?
Yeah, they've been extended previously. I'm not sure if this is,
I know
this might be
it's
the third extension.
probably twice, yeah, they've been extended twice at least.
So we've gotten a quote from the one company. They're going to decrease their lease a little bit, which is not going to cost us money, but it will save FEMA money. So that probably will be approved at our next meeting. And then the other company that we use for modulars, they came to look at the modulars, I think, was it earlier this month? The modular people came to inspect.
I think so.
And I think that they were going to come back after that inspection and give us a price for how much they would want to do their lease for another, maybe go another couple of years on that one. That's the one for Summersville Middle, so that'll be a longer period.
I was just never completely clear. Obviously, we got new modulars and we're going to extend the lease. I'm more interested in the payment of it. Is that independent of the $177 million mediated
Yes.
agreement money? So there is has FEMA actually agreed to let us, that they're going to continue to fund that?
They will fund it through the end of the PW that we currently have on those, in which that PW ends in December. So before December, but they don't want to do it this early, but closer to December, we would have to request that they renew that, and they should be able, I don't think that there'll be a problem with them covering it. The only thing that's not guaranteed is FEMA should cover the 90%, but it's not necessarily a given that the state will cover the other 10%. So we do, every time we request funding from them, we have to do a separate sheet to ask the governor's office if they will honor the 10%. And so far they have, and that might be the 1.6 million that you're speaking of. Maybe that is the 10%.
No, the 1.6 actually came from Senator Manchin, so it would have been federal. I heard that it might be the FEMA money.
Okay, so and it might be how they're going to fund their 10%. Because originally when the flood first happened, that was the agreement, that FEMA would do 90 and the state would do 10. But since things have progressed so long, the 10%, like I said, is not necessarily a given. We have to ask for that every time. So hopefully that'll continue to be funded. But yes, whenever we pay those modular payments, that does get reimbursed.
Is there no depreciation allowance in that contract?
Those are actually
we are leasing them, and we don't get them at the end. At the end of the lease, they take those and dispose of them. And when I spoke to the one company, they came back with an amount per month of the same amount that we've been paying for several years for the lease. And I said, well, you know, these are a little bit older, we've had them for a long time, do you think maybe we could decrease the price a little bit? So they did, but again, that doesn't really help us, it more helps FEMA, but either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I would assume that the other modular company will come back with a decreased rate per month also.
Well, we will be glad to see him gone.
I'm sure.
I'll help hook him up.
Right. Did you guys have any other questions about payment of current invoices? I didn't see anything else that really was out of the ordinary. I saw a couple of things look kind of large, but those are things that you guys have approved in past meetings and we're just now going to pay them. Like the travel tracker was on there, and then some of Chris's equipment, technology equipment was on there. But those had all been approved prior.
The budget county, the travel for county travel exceeds out-of-county travel. I guess that includes all the buses that we have to have, extra buses to take. I mean, people under contract to take bus routes.
Oh, you're looking at people who are getting reimbursed for their travel?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
I was
Are you looking
the
at that or the kids, the ones that we transport?
Yeah.
Ones we transport.
Okay,
or
so
pay
you're
for.
looking at,
In-county transportation costs versus out-of-county transportation costs.
let me look and see what specifically.
Like Chip says, probably to account for that, that includes all those buses, extra transportation that we have to provide under contract with people.
Are you looking at page 9 of the payment of current invoices?
Are you on supplemental transfers or are you on transfers?
Just a second. Supplements and transfers.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go on to that then. Okay, so you are looking at,
Travel in county versus travel out.
on the first page.
Right.
Okay, so in that particular grant award, this is actually communities and schools, and so we had already approved that supplement, but we just changed around some program function codes that needed adjusted. So in this particular grant, yes, they are, it looks like they are budgeting $9,500 for travel in county and then $8,000 for travel out of county. But in this case, since that's a new program, that's probably a lot of training for those three ladies that were standing up here talking about that program. They probably have to go do a lot of training outside of Nicholas County.
Okay.
And then the travel in county would be just between the schools and
Right.
and homes if they're going on home visits.
Okay, thank you.
So, other budget supplements and transfers. To note, Summersville Middle School got a grant from the Rotary Club for vape detectors. We had a donation for wrestling from Walmart,
Boy, those things are expensive, aren't they?
vape detectors.
Goodness.
Teacher of the Year, we get a $300 grant every year for whoever is the Teacher of the Year. Columbia Forest Products donated money for band uniforms for Summersville Middle, and also Summersville Middle girls basketball. And Tom got a tourism grant at VOTEC. Do you have any questions about any of those supplements and transfers?
the next item is contracts. There are 4. The first is a memorandum of agreement with the WVU Extension, which is 4-H, and that is the levy money. They're just invoicing us for the levy money that we provide for them each year. The next is Appalachian Office Products. That is an equipment service contract, which actually, the equipment is at New Life Christian Academy, which is paid for with title funding. So because of the way that is structured, we have to pay that directly instead of having New Life pay that and us reimbursing them. The third is Art Cart, which was the presentation that we saw earlier for Title I elementary schools. And the last is for dining on a field trip for Panther Creek Elementary. That restaurant required a deposit, so in order for us to pay a deposit, we had to have a signed agreement, and when there's a signed agreement, you guys have to approve that. So that's what that's for.
So the, back to the West Virginia Extension 4-H, Nicholas County 4-H.
Mhm.
So the new levy has funds in it as well?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's another thing the levy pays for.
Right.
Yeah, we've paid that for 20-some years since I've been on the board.
Right, that has always been part of the levy as long as I have gone back in.
I'm still a little confused on Art Cart. The 49,000 some is all Title I money, or is portion?
It's all
of-
Title I.
It's all Title I, but if we wanted to go outside of the Title I, put it in other schools, that's where we would have to look for other funding. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Or a grant or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go out and look at other funding. I wasn't sure
Or could it
they were
be a
paying
blend of
90% of
other
it, and we were paying 10 or whatever, but they're paying 100% of it.
I'm glad you said that.
Now it's a lot clearer.
There you go.
Yeah, we actually had a program in the 70s where we had traveling, we did have traveling art teachers and music teachers in all schools. And that was a good thing.
Okay, if there are no questions about those agreements, then the next thing on my list is the February Treasurer's Report.
Good job on getting some interest.
Yeah, so.
Good news about interest rates.
As the year goes on, when there are things like that where you can see that we have far exceeded what we had budgeted, we'll make budget adjustments throughout the year to, to clean that up, to make that all zero out. There are a couple of things like that. This rentals, the building rentals there, you see that just kind of beneath that interest. We're not going to be getting that anymore because that was $100 a month that we were getting from the Falta shelter. So since we've given that building away, then we're not going to really have rental income anymore. Everything else through here looks pretty good. The Medicaid billings, it looks like that's low, but that's really because there's not a whole lot of Medicaid reimbursement happening through the year. Usually we get our big annual reconciliation right at the end of our year. So that's always going to look low until we get to the end of the year. Expenses, if you'll look through those, we're looking at around in the 70s or 80% on those, which would be, probably about right this time of year.
Trying to be educated a little bit. I hate to ask these questions dragging on, but on the Medicaid billing, what services is the school board performing that's Medicaid eligible to bill the federal government?
Our are speech and occupational therapy and
Okay.
physical therapy and some psychological services.
Makes sense. Okay.
Hearing impaired,
Right.
is that part of it?
I believe so. I'm not really sure how that one works. The person who is doing the services has to be somebody who is able to bill Medicaid.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what all of those rules are with that, but I know that speech is a very big one, and OT and PT.
Now, most of those people are contracted that do those services.
Well, we do have some that are contracted, but we have a lot that are employed right now.
Okay.
We have-
Full-time.
So
We
do
have
they have their own Medicaid number and we pay them a salary?
Right.
And somebody has to do the paperwork to bill Medicaid and federal government for where they keep their hours or whatever and performing certain services and coded that way. So do we have a Medicaid number, the board? I'm just curious. How do we bill them?
Honestly, I don't know about a Medicaid number. Misty in our office, when she used to work over at RISA, she did the Medicaid billing for all of the counties in the RISA.
Okay.
So then now that she's here, she does our Medicaid billing, and so I'm not very familiar with the procedure on that, but I know that through the year, we get a little bit of reimbursement for the speech, OT, PT, but then we have to do a quarterly reconciliation and then a big annual reconciliation. So at the end of the year, they say, okay, well, here's the money that you spent on all of your staff and all of your people that could, that you're not paying out of federal money, all of your people who are working with Medicaid eligible children. And so then they whittle that down by a couple of percentages, and then they say, okay, here's the amount that you're eligible for. Here's the amount that we've paid you throughout the year in these little trickling amounts. So the difference is what we get in our annual reconciliation.
Yeah, I'm Bill on the edges, but I mean, with the healthcare system, all providers have a Medicaid number. I was just kind of curious how that worked, but it's not material. You've told me what our services were. Thank you. I'm just curious about the number itself.
So everything else looks pretty routine unless you have any questions about anything specific.
When will we actually get our audit for last year?
Actually, I have those.
Okay.
I wanted to wait until Sarah was done with the school audits so that I could address all of that together. And she was finished, but she was just writing up her final report. So hopefully the next meeting, we can go over that. And actually, I might go ahead and give you, it's in a bound report, and so it'll be really hard for me to email it out to you guys. So I might just go ahead and give you that to look at before the next meeting.
Yeah, that would be good if we could look at it before.
Okay, I don't have any questions about that. My next item is the approval of proposed levy rates. So Ernie Dennison, our assessor, gives us his assessed values to be used to calculate our rates for the next year. So this is just for the regular levy for next year. I mean, I know we've talked about excess levy also, but this is just our proposed regular and excess, but this has nothing to do with the election for the new levy. So he gives us our assessed values, and then we plug in our rates, and we get an amount that we can expect for taxes to be collected in fiscal year 2025. So looking at the numbers for this year in comparison to last year, the assessed values are a little bit increased, not a whole lot. It looks like about a $400,000 increase in taxes to be collected, which is fine, good, but it's not an increase in revenue for us because the state takes part of our levy collections to make up the amount of our state aid formula. So that just means if we get more money from the regular levy, then we'll get slightly less money from the state. So, at any rate, it's, like I said, it is an increase, but it's not a large increase. It's pretty much in line with what we are used to, but this needs to be approved by you guys so that we can send it to the state auditor's office to be approved, and then it comes back to us at the April 16th meeting, I believe, and at that time, you guys will approve it again as our levy order. The last things that I have are out-of-state travel, which I don't really have a lot of information about those, but it looks like people are attending the SREB Schools That Work conference in Nashville. Most of that's coming from federal funds through Sarah Lee. And then internship leader Dogs for the Blind. The funding for that is coming from Lydia, so special ed funding. And then there's a student transfer request for a 10th grader. And that's all I have.
Ms. Weitzel, can you address the one that struck in there, second grade and kindergarten, currently enrolled Summers Elementary School requesting to attend?
Yes, we're just going to wait until July or August, closer to the time school starts, when we have the enrollment for the schools, so we're not over in student enrollment and have to send a student home.
And that was for the next school year anyway?
Yes, it was for the next school year, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions from our board treasurer?
Our new board treasurer.
Our new board, our appointed, newly reinstated.
No one's ready to answer.
Thank you.
Kristen, you do have, we did employ an assistant, right? That's working out
Yes.
good, the one from Webster?
Yes, she's great.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to accept consent items A, finance 1, 2, 3, and under 3, A, B, C, D. Under finance 4, under finance 5 with the levy A and B, and out-of-state travel leased vehicle request 1, 2, and 3, and the student transfer request number 2. We have a motion for all that? Mr. Green makes a motion, seconded by?
Second.
Mr. Ferguson, seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel.
Good evening. The only addition is Tyler Murphy, employed as a substitute custodian in Nicholas County. And his resignation was effective April 5th, will be effective April 5th, and I did not see that he wanted to be added to the substitute list. Otherwise, as presented.
Any questions for Mrs. Whitesell? So, Ms. Sherry, we're going to vote on all this except for Heather Williams. because that's Mr. Green's daughter. And so we're gonna vote on, we're gonna leave Heather Williams off, and then he's going to exclude himself. Okay? So do we have a motion to accept consent items under personnel, all except Heather Williams?
I make a motion.
Okay. Mr. Berry makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Moose. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And now we will need a motion on Heather Williams. Is there any discussion? If so, Mr. Green will leave the room. Any discussion?
I make a motion that we accept Heather Williams.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Ferguson, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye. With Mr. Green abstaining. Motion carried. Reports, SESC, Mr. Ferguson.
Having done a report since the superintendent reported from the last meeting, the next meeting actually is this Wednesday.
Okay.
And it conflicts a little bit. They're doing it in the morning. They usually do it in noon time, but I've got a conflict with the Rotary, presenting to the Rotary, but Superintendent Dean said he would try to attend virtually.
Okay. All right, Mr. Green, Bright Horizons.
I have nothing right now. I have a meeting on Thursday, but I won't be able to attend that meeting.
And
we got a nice thank you card from the staff and clients from there, thanking the Board of Education for all their work.
Thank you. Items for future agendas. Okay, future meeting dates. Next regular meeting is Monday, April 8th. Remember, that was changed from the 1st to the 8th at the board office here at 6 o'clock. And then the second meeting, regular meeting, is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, here at the board office, starting at 5 o'clock. Anything else? So according to West Virginia Code, we have to recess this meeting, so we will not take a vote or close it. So thank you very much.